Welcome back, everybody, to the Deep Dive. This time, we're going to be talking about network marketing, and we're going to be looking at it through the lens of one of its biggest icons, Dexter YAGER.
Dexter YAGER, a legend.
A legend. And we've got this really cool YouTube video of a speech that he gave, and it's fascinating stuff. It's not just about selling products. It's about resilience, ambition, and really, believing that you can succeed. Really believing it.
Yeah, Dexter YAGER, I mean, his story is pretty much like something out of a movie. I mean, he started with nothing.
Nothing.
Growing up in a really poor mill town in upstate New York.
Wow.
And he had this feeling deep down that there had to be something better out there. Greater opportunities had to be available. And that really set the stage for his whole journey.
Yeah. He didn't just sit around talking about it either. He went out and found those opportunities, joined Amway back in 1964, and built one of the biggest network marketing organizations in the world.
It's unbelievable.
It's crazy. And we're not talking just local success here. I mean, this guy was sharing the stage with people like Oliver North.
Huge.
Ronald Reagan, George Bush.
It's crazy.
It's wild.
Yeah, he was featured on 60 Minutes in USA Today, Success Magazine. He became this symbol of success in network marketing. But what's really cool is that his message, it goes way beyond that. It goes beyond just that one industry.
Right. This speech, it's packed with wisdom that, anyone can use in their lives.
Absolutely.
And he doesn't sugarcoat anything. He's got this bold, sometimes kind of abrasive style, but it grabs your attention.
Yeah.
And at the heart of it all is this incredibly powerful phrase. It's it pops up again and again. Winners never quit and quitters never win.
And he gives us this story about a guy named Russ, someone Dexter YAGER personally sponsored into Amway.
Oh, interesting.
And Russ, he seemed to have a lot of potential, but he would quit every time things got, a little bit rough. So it's almost like YAGER's using Russ as an example of, this is what you should not do.
Right.
If you want to succeed, you can't quit.
Right. He contrasts that with the people who do have that grit to keep going no matter what. Yeah. And it really makes you think about how this winners never quit. Philosophy can apply to all kinds of challenges.
Oh, for sure.
Not just in business.
It's universal. He talks about the importance of, focusing on solutions, not getting bogged down in the problems. He even applies this to the network marketing system itself, He says, the system only works when you and I work.
That's good.
Yeah, it's powerful.
That's a good one.
It's this reminder that you can't just sit back and expect things to happen. You gotta be active. You gotta make it work.
Gotta work. Now, one thing that you notice right away about Dexter YAGER is his way of motivating people. He's very unique. He's not afraid to just come out and say bold things, He's got this colorful language, He says things like, "Don't laugh at me to my face."
I love that one.
"Putting me down only makes me mad enough to whip your butt."
He's got that fire.
He's got that fire. It's not your typical self-help guru.
Not at all. And there's this kind of playful competitiveness there too.
Oh, for sure.
He talks about how his friends would, kind of tease him. They'd say, "Don't beat Dexter because he'll play all night to whip you."
Oh, that's great.
You really get the sense that he just loves the challenge, He loves proving people wrong.
Yeah, it's not just about winning to win, though. He really believes in hard work, and constantly getting better. He says, live people are always on the way to success.
Keep going, keep pushing.
There's never an end of the road. And keep going and going and going.
And the vision, right? He really stresses that. He's got this great analogy about driving through a snowstorm, and you can barely see. You're just creeping along 5 miles an hour. You're just following the taillights in front of you. But eventually you break through, the road clears. And it's a powerful metaphor. It's like that for building a business, for achieving any goal, really.
It really is. And it makes you think about how we approach, challenges in our own lives. Do we give up when things get tough? Or do we have that Dexter YAGER kind of determination to see things through?
Yeah, great question for our listeners to think about. And speaking of, specific actions and doing things, I mean, YAGER had some really interesting selling and success principles. He tells this story about how he sold a Thunderbird to this guy. The guy walks in and he looks like he just came off a construction site. I mean, he's covered in sawdust.
That's a good story. I remember that.
Yeah.
It really highlights that he believes in treating everybody like a potential customer. It doesn't matter what they look like.
It doesn't matter where they're coming from.
It doesn't matter. And it's about seeing the potential, even if it's not obvious right away.
Totally. And he goes beyond just making the sale, too. You know, he talks about stretching people's minds. Like, you got to expose them to something better, something beyond what they're used to.
Like a better life.
Yeah. He wasn't just selling a product. He was selling a whole vision, like a vision of a better life.
And he would get so creative to make that vision real, you know? Like, he would even let potential customers borrow his Cadillac. He'd let them experience that luxury. He understood that sometimes, words aren't enough.
Yeah.
People need to feel it, experience it. They need to believe it's possible.
It's brilliant. It shows how well he understood people. He wasn't just selling a product. He was selling a dream.
And speaking of dreams, Yager wasn't all about, the money and the success. He knew how important relationships were. He even said, all the money in the world with no friends would be terrible.
It's so true.
It's so true.
Especially in network marketing, right? It's all about connecting with people. But, I mean, that's true for life in general. We need those connections to thrive.
And speaking of connections, Yager was huge on mentorship. He told these amazing stories about Charlie Tremendous Jones. He was a banker who overcame a serious disability.
Wow.
And Quentin Parker, this Korean War veteran who, he didn't let his injuries define him. It's so clear that Yager, he was inspired by these guys. And he wanted to do the same for others.
Stay it forward.
Yeah.
It shows you that success it's not a solo thing. We all need those people who guide us, support us, help us see our potential. Sometimes we can't even see it ourselves.
That's a good point.
And that brings us back to another big theme that Yager talks about a lot. Vision. He says, you got to have vision of something more.
Got to see it.
You can't go for it if you can't see it. And he's not just talking about fancy stuff. It's about having that picture in your mind, the life you want, the person you want to be. Absolutely. And that vision has got to be so strong, so real to you that it keeps you going when things get tough.
It's got to be your fuel.
Yeah. Because without that vision, it's easy to get lost, It's easy to give up when you hit those roadblocks.
Now, even Dexter YAGER, this like powerhouse of motivation and success, he admitted to having doubts sometimes.
Real.
He talked about feeling lost, in his early 20s. He felt like he hadn't done what he thought he would by that point.
It's human, right?
It is human. Even the most successful people, they have those moments, where they doubt themselves.
Makes you feel a little better.
It does. It makes you feel like, oh, okay, it's normal.
Yeah.
What matters is what you do with those moments.
Yeah.
And Yager, he describes literally getting down on his hands and knees and praying. He's praying for guidance, for a chance to prove himself.
Wow.
He was searching for his path, for a way to really make a difference.
And he found it.
And that's when he found Amway. And he'll admit, at first he was skeptical.
He wasn't immediately sold.
No. He even called it a Mickey Mouse business at first.
That's funny.
I know. But something changed when he really saw the plan. He understood the potential.
The possibilities.
Yeah. And this is where I think his open-mindedness really comes in.
Yeah.
He was willing to challenge what he thought. He was willing to look at something he had kind of, dismissed before.
Yeah.
And that openness, that's what led him to find his purpose, and build this incredible career.
Powerful stuff.
And once he committed to Amway, that was it. He quit his job in January of 1965, and he never looked back. He had found his way to achieve that success he wanted so badly.
And he did it his way.
His way. He didn't follow the rule book,
Forged his own path.
He created his own rules, his own strategies, for connecting with people, getting them motivated, and ultimately getting incredible results.
That's inspiring.
And it's amazing how that ties back to, we were talking about dreams earlier.
Yeah.
He talks about how dreams are like the gas in a tank.
You got to have fuel.
You're not going any place when that tank reads empty. Mm-hmm. Without that vision, it's easy to just kind of get lost or give up when things get tough.
It's true. And he recognized that dreams can change too.
They can evolve.
Like, he started with, pretty simple goals, provide for his family, be his own boss.
The basics.
Yeah, the basics. But as he achieved those things, his dreams got bigger.
It grew.
He started to see that he could do more, that he could create something really, really special.
And that's something I think a lot of people can relate to. You hit one goal, and suddenly it's like, boom, there's a whole new world of possibilities.
Absolutely. Like leveling up in a video game.
Exactly. And that's where his advice about stretch your mind comes in.
Yeah, push yourself.
He talks about how at a certain point, people might look at your success and think you're showing off.
Right.
But he's saying, a lot of times you're not trying to impress anybody. You're growing, you're expanding.
You're living a life that reflects what you've accomplished.
Exactly. And he's got this great line where he says, the majority of the things we bought we needed, we weren't showing off. Just after you need a whole lot of stuff, it looks like you're showing off.
I love that.
It's like, don't let other people's opinions hold you back.
So let them define you.
Go for what you want. Now, he also talks about, the negativity that can come with success. People might laugh at your dreams, criticize you.
Haters gonna hate.
Yeah. But Yager, he had this really simple strategy for dealing with that. Kindness.
Kindness.
I know. At first I was like, really? Kindness? But then I thought about it, and it actually makes a lot of sense.
How so?
Because by being kind, instead of getting all defensive, he was able to just kind of disarm those critics.
Stay above it.
Stay above it. And keep that positive energy going.
He wasn't letting them bring him down.
Exactly. And he had this really clever way of pointing out that, a lot of times people's doubts, they come from a lack of understanding.
I don't know any better.
Yeah. They haven't been exposed to a different way of thinking,
It's a limited perspective.
And he has this line. I love this line. He says, you got to be nice to dumb people.
Oh, Yager.
I know. It sounds harsh, but he explains that it's not about being mean. It's about understanding that sometimes people are skeptical because they're afraid or they just don't know.
They're operating from a place of fear or ignorance.
Yeah. And he encourages his audience, to see past that negativity and focus on the long term. He talks about how most businesses, they take at least 5 years to really become profitable.
Patience is key.
It is. It's a reminder that success, it takes time.
I got to put in the work.
You got to keep your eye on the prize. He also talks about how comparison is the thief of joy.
That's so true.
And get this, he doesn't even really know how much money he's making.
What?
Until 5 years down the line.
What? Really?
Because he's thinking about long-term wealth.
Not those quick wins.
Not the short-term stuff.
It's a different mindset.
It is. It's about playing the long game, not getting discouraged by, the people who are just focused on those quick results.
Yeah, instant gratification.
Instant gratification. Another thing that really impressed me about Yager was, his focus on personal development.
He wasn't just about the money.
No.
Yeah.
He wasn't content with just, having a successful business. He wanted to keep growing, to become a better person.
He was always striving.
Always. And he believed that, leadership, it starts with taking responsibility, not just for yourself, but for the people around you. Mm-hmm. He even says, the more responsibility I gave them, the more they accepted and the better they became.
Powerful stuff.
He saw growth as a crucial part of the journey.
Essential.
He was always pushing himself, pushing the people around him to be their best.
To reach their full potential.
And this goes hand in hand with, what we were talking about before, with mentorship.
Yeah, learning from others.
He recognized that he didn't have all the answers. He needed to learn from people who had already achieved what he wanted. He wasn't afraid to ask for help.
There's humility in that.
There is.
Yeah.
He wasn't arrogant. He genuinely wanted to learn and grow.
And he was so generous, too.
He was. With his time, his knowledge, he mentored so many people, helped them build their own businesses.
A true leader?
A true leader. He understood that real success, it's not just about you. It's about lifting other people up.
It's about creating a legacy.
It is. And his legacy, it goes way beyond just the organization that he built. It's the impact he had on all those people he mentored, all those lives he touched.
Generations of entrepreneurs inspired by him.
And he did it all with this amazing blend of, boldness, humor, and this unshakable belief in himself and his vision. It's an inspiring story.
It really is. It makes you think about, what success really means.
And it challenges you to go after your dreams, with everything you've got.
Absolutely.
He really showed people, especially in the network marketing world, what was possible.
He paved the way.
But his message, it's so much bigger than that. It's about finding your strength, your purpose, and then going after that better future that you see.
Yeah.
With everything you've got.
With passion and determination.
And he reminds us, it doesn't happen overnight.
It takes dedication.
Hard work.
And a willingness to learn and grow.
But as Yager proved, you can achieve amazing things when you set your mind to it and you never, ever give up.
It's interesting as we keep going with this with Dexter YAGER, one thing really jumps out. This guy, he wasn't just like a great salesman. He was amazing at connecting with people.
Building those relationships.
Building relationships. He got it. He understood that real success, it wasn't just about like you win, I win. It was about creating this network, this web of support and shared ambition.
He was all about that community, wasn't he?
He was. It was like he tapped into this basic human need, to belong, to be part of something bigger.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And he walked the walk, too. It wasn't just talk.
No, he actually built that community, that feeling of like, we're all in this together, we're working towards something.
A shared purpose.
Shared purpose. It was like he took the whole idea of network marketing and applied it to building this amazing group of people.
Supportive and driven.
Exactly. And mentorship. That was a big part of it.
Yeah.
Remember all those stories about Charlie Tremendous Jones and Quentin Parker? He wasn't just like dropping names.
He meant it.
He meant it. He was showing how important it is to have someone believe in you, guide you, especially when things get tough.
Could be the difference between giving up and achieving something amazing.
Totally.
Yeah.
He used to say the first startup part of leadership is taking on responsibility. And it wasn't just about like bossing people around.
No, it was about empowerment.
It was. It was about giving people the chance to step up, to really own their part in the team.
He gave them responsibility and they rose to the occasion.
They did. It's a great leadership lesson. And it applies to so much more than just, business.
Life in general.
Think about the best leaders you've known.
Yeah.
Teachers, coaches, mentors. The ones who really made a difference, they were probably the ones who, saw something in you.
They believed in you.
They pushed you. But they also gave you the space to grow.
And Yager, he didn't just talk about this stuff, he lived it. He dedicated so much time to helping other people build their businesses.
He was a true servant leader.
Focused on helping others succeed.
He understood that, success isn't a zero-sum game. When other people succeed, you succeed too.
A rising tide lifts all boats.
That's it. And that generosity, that willingness to share what he knew, that's what really makes him special.
He was the real deal.
He was. And he wasn't afraid to get specific either. He'd share actual strategies, things that worked for him. He wanted other people to use those tools, adapt them, make them their own.
He wanted to give people a roadmap.
It wasn't just about, rah-rah motivation. It was about, okay, here's how you actually do it.
Practical advice.
Practical. And one of the things that I thought was so cool was how he insisted on treating everyone like a potential customer. Didn't matter who they were, what their background was. He talked about finding people who were, struggling, maybe even on welfare, and they'd be laughing at his ideas.
He saw potential where others didn't.
He did. He saw that untapped potential. He wanted to show those people that there was another way, a way to build a better life.
A path to something more.
Exactly. And he would even talk about how those same people, the ones who were skeptical at first, they'd become some of his biggest supporters.
They'd come around.
They would. He even said some of them, they changed their whole political views because now they understood business, they understood opportunity.
It's about empowerment.
It is. When you show someone their own potential, it can change their whole perspective. It can change their life. And he had this great analogy. He'd talk about car dealerships, how they let you test drive a car. But it's just for like a block or two.
Not enough to get a feel for it.
Not even close. He'd say, no wonder the car business has problems.
Aha.
He was making a point about, you got to really immerse people in the experience.
Give them a taste.
More than a taste. Let them really feel it. You can't just tell people about a better life. You got to show them.
Make it real for them.
Make it real. And he did that. Like he'd be driving the old beat up car and he'd let the potential customer take his Cadillac for a spin.
That's a bold move.
It is. But it worked.
Yeah.
He knew that sometimes, words aren't enough. You got to give people that feeling, that experience.
So they can start to believe it's possible for them.
Exactly. And he was a master at, he called it, stretching people's minds. He'd take them to see these beautiful houses, introduce them to successful people. He was always exposing them to new things that would challenge their limited beliefs.
I wanted to expand their horizons.
He did. He believed that most people, they're living way below their potential. Stuck in this cycle of scarcity. And he saw it as his mission to break them out of that, to show them that abundance is possible for anyone if they're willing to put in the work.
If they're willing to believe.
And he had this, and this quote, I wrote it down. He said, we got to stretch people's minds. The average person's living in this little home, driving this little car, and they're not going to advance until somebody takes them into new homes to stretch them and get them dreaming, takes them out in new cars to get them dreaming, take them out boat riding to get them dreaming, and take them back over and over and over and over and over again till we get them believing that they ought to have that.
Wow.
Powerful, right?
That's amazing. It really paints a picture.
It does. It's all about, showing people a different way. Sometimes we don't even know what we're capable of until someone shows us that it's possible.
We need that spark.
We do. And Yager, he was that spark for so many people. He opened their eyes, he lit that fire of ambition, and then he gave them the tools, the support, to create their own success.
He left a real legacy.
He did. It's more than just the business. It's the people.
Yeah.
All the lives he touched, all the entrepreneurs he inspired.
Generations of them.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive into Dexter Yager's world, what are some of the big takeaways our listener can, take with them, apply to their own lives, whether they're into network marketing or not?
Well, I think, one of the most important things is belief. Yager believed in himself, he believed in his vision, and he believed in the people around him. And that belief, it was infectious.
It spread.
It spread. It made other people believe in themselves, and it pushed them to achieve great things.
It's about having that vision for your life, setting big, bold goals, and then going after them with everything you've got. And it's about having the right people around you, the people who believe in you, who push you, who support you.
Your tribe.
Your tribe. Yager also taught us about persistence, never giving up on your dreams, no matter what gets thrown your way. He knew that success, it's a journey, not a destination. And it's never a straight line.
There are always bumps in the road.
Always. He went through his own tough times, setbacks, challenges, but he never let those things stop him. He had this incredible grit, this determination that helped him overcome anything.
He was unstoppable.
And lastly, I think it's so important to remember the power of relationships. Yager knew that it wasn't just about him. It was about building a team, supporting others, creating that sense of community.
He understood the value of human connection.
He did. He was so generous with his time, his knowledge, and he always emphasized the importance of, helping other people succeed. He knew that real success, it's not just about you, it's about making a positive impact on the world.
Leaving things better than you found them.
Exactly. Well said. And with that, I think we'll wrap up our deep dive into the world of Dexter Yager. We hope you found his story inspiring and that you can take some of his wisdom with you on your own journey.
He was a one-of-a-kind leader.
He really was. Thanks for joining us on the deep dive. We'll see you next time for another fascinating look at, well, who knows what we'll explore next time.